Welcome back to Berlin, where Origen look to continue their success from Rift Rivals against the struggling Excel Esports. Struggling in App Word. Excel yet to find a win, but today could be their first. How long will I have the pleasure of saying that is the real question for us, Karen.
I don't know. I still feel that Origen are super heavy favorites here. Now, one of the things that I was looking at for Origen kind of coming into a new patch, even though there wasn't huge dramatic changes, is that I feel like Origen are kind of very hit and miss. They either hit like a new patch running and they find some like really cool OP combo or a unique way to play the game and they sprint off with it, or sometimes it feels like they have like a completely different read than the other LEC teams and they stumble a bit. So I'm curious which foot Origen is going to start off on this 9-13 patch.
And additionally, the question that I pretty much have for any team that didn't go to Rift Rivals, in this case Excel as well, is like, what have you learned in these last few weeks? Did you take some time off? Not entirely sure for the Excel lineup. Or how hard have you been preparing? Because you have a lead, right, in terms of patch prep. Can you leverage that to find your first win up against OG? OG, a terrifying opponent to be certain. But Excel, remember, smashed that early game versus Fnatic and then kind of threw it away. So I wonder if maybe they've cleaned that up a little bit and can show us some of the same kind of spirit that they did in that game.
Also continuing to experiment with their roster. Excel have been one of the teams like Misfits who are continuously kind of dipping into that 10-man roster, fielding different players each time. And I feel like it is pretty signature to the type of champions that they play on the field. Last time around when we saw Jessica and Mystique, it didn't go according to plan, but it was pretty clear that they had a game plan right from the get-go. This time around, I want to see the same thing, and I'm curious what's up their sleeve.
Do we finally see Kiana? Is Origen a Mordekaiser team? That seems like the least...
I really want to see Kiana. I'm very excited about that champion. She's like 9-0 globally right now, 100% win rate. I think she's super fun, and by that I mean very OP and obnoxious. Please leave it open. Both of you.
Akali was also super fun unreleased. Anyone remember Release LeBlanc? Super fun. We'll see. See what pro players can do with Kiana already, as you mentioned, 9-0. 3, 2, 1, and that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Picks and Bans, your favorite part of the day, and why? Because we get to see if Mordekaiser or Kiana will get played. Who's going to take it? XL on the blue side, Origen on the red.
So he's looking across his teammates. He's like, guys, do we be anti-fun today? Oh.
Well, Draven taken off the board. Yuumi banned away from OG. I like that. What are the options going to be here? How do you actually shut down OG on a new patch? I feel like it's always so hard to know exactly what needs to be taken away.
I was talking about this on the analyst desk, and I'll revisit it here. Origen were one of the teams in the LEC that had higher priority on things like a Sejuani, especially in using her with tandem with melee champions, like that Camille mid that NukeDuck pulled out. Again, I'm curious with the rise in popularity of Sylas jungle, particularly in solo queue, if that means that they'll still have a high priority on Sejuani, or if they're going to move away from that.
Aurelia is going to be taken away. OG, of course, with one final ban. If Excel don't ban, or if OG don't ban the Sejuani, will Excel pick it? Of course, both Kiana and Mordekaiser up and available. Did not see it in our first game, despite being open by Kiana.
What's it gonna be?
See it here.
I say you leave them both open, and you just kind of take that gut check. Who's practiced it?
Mordekaiser immediately get locked in. Expect will get it into his hands. Will he be the second Mordekaiser lost in the LEC, or can he turn the fate of this champion around?
So as soon as Mord gets locked in, he can have a couple of rough matchups, kind of levels 1 through 3, but he can survive most lane phases. But I feel like what he really puts a change on is the ADC champion pool. Anytime you see a Mordekaiser, because an ADC is usually a very valuable target and a very vulnerable target, it takes away a lot of champions like the Ashe that we've seen cropping up. So I feel like this is going to emphasize to Patrick that maybe he wants to grab something more like an Ezreal, like we saw Upset opt into when he had to face it.
And it makes it much easier to plan those second phase bans in the event that OG does not lock in an AD carry at this phase. We saw just Upset earlier today hovering the Ashe, but deciding against it, looking down that Mordekaiser on the opposite side. The Azir, though, will be the lock-in, most likely going into the hands of NukeDuck. And a champion that has been kind of growing in popularity here in the LEC.
But already the strategy from Origen is clear-cut, like what we saw in Splice versus SK, where you still have Sejuani as your jungler. She's very good in majority of 2v2s because she offers good damage, great CC, great control over the river. And then when you put her in tandem with either a mid laner that can follow up on that with damage themselves, CC themselves, or in Azir's case, wave priority themselves. So early levels, kind of the initial jungle rotation, Origen have a very strong 2v2.
A lot of CC power, but Olaf powerhouse early game jungler in his own right. See exactly what Kadril can get done. In the past, we'd call Kadril the catalyst for action on this Excel lineup.
And this is Origen. They throw down the gauntlet. They have the Azir Sejuani, and they say this is exactly what we want to do in the early few levels of this game. And Excel do not miss a beat. They grab the Corki. We've seen Corki versus Azir earlier this day. It can go either way depending on how you want to play it. They've also got the Olaf as opposed to the Lee Sin. So they are going to try to go toe-to-toe in terms of who is going to control 2v2 mid.
Matching in the 2v2 mid, the 80 carry options. See what's been available. Vayne, of course, notoriously strong duelist, will now be locked in. Always the potential for the flex pick, but Patrick, a very accomplished Vayne player himself. And very hard for Moore to ult that champion and then win the 1v1, given the you know, the stun and the mobility and the lots of damage. So I feel like it's a pretty solid choice up into the Mordekaiser.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool, curious answer. We'll try to keep our eyes on it to see if we ever do get that Shadow Realm 1v1 Coliseum, if you will.
It might even be a Vayne top, honestly. Against a champion, I mean, Mordekaiser basically magic damage Darius, right? And if you do not connect on the grasp, on that E, then you are just not going to be able to hurt that champion. But the Braum now taken away, the Camille as well, taking that away from OG. I feel like is very smart, a champion that they've liked to leverage in a variety of positions.
Kind of interesting also trying to thin the possible top lane pool. We've seen some teams. You know, I'm very curious kind of what Mordekaiser's really bad matchups are, and I think this is what secondary ban phase is going to tell us, at least what Excel believe is going to give Mordekaiser a hard time. I also can't really gauge exactly where I think Mordekaiser's scaling potential is. I mean, I know he has really cool utility. He completely changes how games are played, especially from a team fight aspect. But I feel like I personally don't have enough tape or data to definitively say this is when Mordekaiser becomes a massive problem. This is when people cannot deal with him anymore.
Definitely fair, given the short time the champion has been out, but from personal colloquial experience, what I can tell you is that the champion does a lot of damage. We saw it even earlier in the day while Prophet was ultimately unsuccessful. He hit like a truck. And that's something that you do have to respect. Now, the Sona is still taking up the board, so clearly XL are giving respect to the potential for a Vayne top here. But the Tom Kench will be the lock-in from OG. They're hiding that final pick. That will show us so much about their composition. They don't want to show anything they don't have to the side of XL.
But at this point, what are you looking for in terms of XL's composition? What are they lacking? They are lacking consistent hard engage, so something like an Ashe might not be a bad shout here. Possibly even the likes of Xayah or Rakan is what I was about to say. Rakan certainly helps out and fills out that ability to have a hard engage composition. And so far what Excel have put together, it's really well balanced and very well rounded. They're not missing any kind of key components that you would want out of this 5v5 composition. And they have different power windows that they can play around at every aspect in the game. The early game, the mid game, the late game. There's never a moment where they are weak or don't have an answer.
Gonna have to see what the option will be, but the Ashe is now locked in. That means we're gonna see a Vayne in the top lane, and a Azir in the mid lane, and now the Ashe TK bottom lane. This feels like, if you had to just stylistically describe Origen with a bot lane, this would be the bot lane you'd use.
But is this how you would describe Alphari in that top lane?
Absolutely not, but I like that he's, the confidence that he's showing here, because we talked at the start of the year, we wanted to see, God, X Factor is such a trap word, but X Factor, we wanted to see that player that was going to step up and be the big defining playmaker for this team, and we listed two potential options. We said Patrick, we said Alphari. We have seen some crazy Patrick games. I'm ready to see a crazy Alphari game.
Well, he can definitely demand a lot of resources as that Vayne in the top. I'm kind of curious how much they're going to play around him. Is this going to be a champion or a matchup where you can maybe leave him to his own devices, he'll farm safely, or does he actually want to go aggressive and try to punish this Mord in the lane phase? That's what I'm asking myself, and that's what I really want to focus on as I watch Alphari versus Expect.
Time to find out the limits of this champion. Expect has been a shining light for the Excel lineup, at least in the last split. Was able to do a lot with the reworked Yorick. See if he can repeat the same success with the Mordekaiser. It is time for XL versus OG. Strength of schedule has been the excuse for OG so far, while they were only able to find a few wins. Now against bottom tier opponent, can they show their strength, or will XL find their first win on the LEC stage in summer? Legends is now happening on your screen. And while I can't tell you the results of this game yet, I can tell you that's a great Corki skin. We'll call it the Waffle skin in honor of the newest LEC dog to join the LEC family. Our producer, Kevin, who was just talking in my ear, just got a Corgi named Waffles. It's adorable. I'll get you pictures, I promise. In the meantime, though, level 1 setups are going to be important for Oscar and early jungle pathing as well. I feel like we have a lot of matchups outside of bot lane that can be kind of set up to be explosive.
Also, some cool Keystone action happening here. Again, it's another electrocute onto the Azir versus Corki matchup. We covered that in Splice versus SK. We've seen it globally. You're going to see it again here today. Again, it's all about those short burst trades to help Azir stay competitive in terms of trading with Corki as opposed to just the wave clear. Patrick, though, going for the Airy, or no, Comet, excuse me. So wants to use the volley and then have the Comet poke and whittle at them. It's not super uncommon for Ashe, although you normally see it on Ashe support when she's just kind of standing there playing with the Comet.
Did you just say you normally see it on Ashe support?
You definitely see it on Ashe support whenever that's locked in. That's the Keystone she's running.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand how often you've seen an Ashe support that's important. But anyway, back to Origen. It makes sense, right? Comet, we've heard rumor of the Trinity Force Ashe coming out with the Sheen, so a lot of potential poke if they do decide to go for that build.
And then also the Guardian there on the Tahm Kench as opposed to something like an unsealed spellbook. So it tells me that Patrick and Mithy really want to play a whittle-based lane, that it's about chipping away at Jessica and Mystique. They didn't even worry about trying to get priority in this wave. Like, you know, it's fine. This is about poking with the volley and the tongue that you can see that they're doing right now, as opposed to just absolutely dominating this lane. Now, if this damage continues to stick, though, Jessica and Mystique are going to give away a lot of the push advantage that they can have in early levels as Xayah and Rakan with those steroids.
And level 2 is actually coming in at the same time. Mystique's overstayed his welcome. OG getting that early lane control is going to matter so much. Flash has already been forced. Mithy continuing to step forward. Patrick looking to slow him down. Just walking him down on the Ashe. First blood already. It was not supposed to be the point of action, but already the action is kicking off. Patrick now backing away. And Kato's not going to be able to get anything here. Actually, just beautiful play by OG to get, you know, somewhat even priority on the wave.
I'm not just going to mince words, though. That was a massive misplay from Mystiques, and it might cost them everything in the lane phase. That type of misstep at this level of professional play, like, you sometimes don't come back from that. So we're going to see how he tries to recover, but he knew it as soon as it happened. He went for a very aggressive trade. There really wasn't any reason to look for that type of window. Didn't connect with the knock-up, and then immediately had to burn the flash, and then unfortunately, too little too late. And the big thing is that Mithy and Patrick didn't have to expend their own flashes to secure that.
Just huge, and I feel like I would love to go back and rewatch that level 1. Do it yourself if you have ProView. Good opportunity to check out exactly how they got that. I think maybe just no procs on the lethal tempo from the Xayah, but ultimately now an advantage for a lane that we did not expect to be incredibly dominant early on.
I mean, it's kind of like your strategy about how you're going to walk into the lane phase and play it. And unfortunately, Jessica and Mystique walked into lane phase and they just ate poke after poke after poke. Instead of hiding behind their minions and trying to play the wave clear game, they tried to play the trade game.
Difficult situation now, to be sure. Luckily for them, no gold has been spent quite yet. So will not cost them too greatly at this point. But in the top side of the map, you were wondering how exactly this lane would be played out. Well, it's Kleptomancy, and it's pretty much just farming this Mordekaiser for gold. Sadly for Expect, not able to do too much here. May need to wait for the Olaf to help. Kadel now on the way up.
Cold's in the wings.
Stepping forward.
Still very hard to gank a Vayne, especially when she has access to her abilities.
Patrick, the flash out is there. Jessica potentially in trouble. 3 stacks come in. Kadel could be next on the menu. Slowly getting chased down by Alfari here. Good autos going in, and Alfari just happy to grab, honestly, those stacks coming through. Making a lot of money in that exchange.
And unfortunately, that initial gank wasn't about trying to kill the Vayne. It was trying to about burning Alfari's flash. They knew they wouldn't get her the first time, but it was about trying to set it up for the second time. Because Alfari was able to walk out of that, because Cold is doing a good job playing towards his side that was pressured forward, the fact that Vayne is so far down that lane, like, Cold is doing everything right, even though it doesn't look like he's doing anything, to make sure that this Vayne stays safe and she's able to farm gold.
And he has the winning lane on the top side. He does not need to be the guy who ganks. He can just set his lanes up for success. Patrick and Mithy going to farm what they can under the tower. Good for Jessica and Mystiques to get control of the lane for now. Only going to be able to guard the Caulfields on their first back, but 2 strong winning lanes for OG right now. Azir with the push in the mid lane, and as well as Vayne just indefinitely pushing this Mordekaiser in top lane.
Yeah, I do want to go back and really compliment Jessica and Mystiques for trying to save the lane phase that they possibly threw. They saw that they had a window to try to punish Patrick before the back came through. You can now see Ashe has made the back, now has access to the BF sword as well as the pot and the control ward. So good job burning the flash, but now can they follow it up? And that's kind of what I expect Kadel to do. He He has his options to choose. Do you camp your Recon lane, try to punish the Ashe who doesn't have an escape, or do you try to alleviate this pressure valve of Alphari versus expecting to the top lane?
Because the Vayne is just continuing to accumulate gold. Of course, you can see the CS differential, but also the gold very quickly stacking the Vayne's favor. 1,600 in her back pocket. When Alphari finally gets that back off, we'll be able to grab the Cutlass if that's what he wants to. Speaking of Cutlass, speaking of itemization, Patrick, interestingly, not opting for the Blade of the Rune King. Instead, starting with the BF Sword. Might see the Essence Reaver coming through. More poke, more CDR.
Patrick's my favorite type of Ashe player.
It's all about that ultimate. For now, he's all about living. Mythy gonna quickly gobble him up, spit him right back out. They burn that cooldown, so this is a good time for Cadril to be here, but he has been spotted now by the ward, not aware yet.
And since Patrick doesn't have flash, it's now about just changing up your play style pattern. You know, it's no longer, I'll hold it.
Oh, flash forward, Patrick potentially going to be in trouble here. The knockup will connect, quick kill, huge showing of confidence. OG had vision on that play.
So there's two elements to this. It's changing up the playstyle pattern where Mythy is no longer using his Q to aggressively poke. He has to play defensively and be there for the devour. I'll hold it, Mythy. Able to blast one away, but it was excellently done by Excel to recognize the playstyle pattern had changed, that Mythy was going to be playing around that cooldown. As soon as the cooldown was wasted, then, surprise, Cadril was there for the gank.
And now this top lane, or this bot lane rather, just kind of has to be the center of our attention. So much action happening here, and it feels like it may demand a certain amount of attention now from Cold. Even in the back of this last play, we see he's spotted on the ward.
They just didn't respect the flash, it feels like. Miscommunication possibly from the OG bot lane, that Patrick couldn't be that far forward, but excellent recognition from Cadril to say, we're ending this now.
And that's like a huge showing of confidence. Just flash acts for the slow, knowing that it will guarantee the Recon knockup, and good look overall from Excel. This is what I wanted to see from Cadril, making these big confident plays. Nuke Duck, though, now bullying out in the mid lane. Mickey gonna trade back as best he can. And this Electrocute definitely paying off for Nuke Duck, letting him fight much more powerfully in the early game with some additional stats there. Mickey doing what he can to respond. Patrick and Mythy still trying to find trades on the bottom side of the map, but you can see 63 to 48 the CS difference. Cold now rearing his head on the bottom side. May just fish for the ultimate here, of course. Does have the prison. Can look to lay it down.
So I was checking on how close Patrick was to level 6. He's about 50% of the way there, so it's not like they're immediately going to get an arrow and then pull the trigger.
Maybe just trying to find this opportunity to get wave control so they can force a back. Or maybe look for the early Mountain Drake. Of course, Jungler on the bottom side, Scuttle Crab up and available as well. Could look to contest red with his priority, but Jessica's level 6 coming in a little bit faster. Does mean a small advantage to the side of Excel. A lot of poke going down, though. Hit confirming that Comet with the volley is so obnoxious.
It could also be that Cold's just, again, trying to create a safety net for his bot lane. The wave was going to be far forward. It meant that Patrick and Mythy weren't able to freeze. That if this lane is going to be effective with that volley, with that Comet, that they must push. And so Cold had to shadow underneath his bot lane to protect them from danger when they're overextended. Why this is cool, as he possibly looks for a gank, is because this is the type of player that Cold is. He has his red buff and his blue buff up and available, and instead, he's playing around his bot lane like this.
And was trying to fish, trying to stop. It looks like the back, because they did spot the Zion. They're calling the TP, now coming back in, I believe, from Jessica. Has returned to the fight. Mystique's, how close is he to level 6? That's the #1 question on my mind. Cadril about out of mana. And while Cold doesn't have the ultimate, you still have to be careful about taking this fight. Level 6 much better, however, for Mystique's than it is for Mythy on that Tahm Kench. Both sides are just going to back off, but meanwhile, we have to remember, other lanes are happening outside of bot lane, and that Vayne continues to get further and further ahead, but that's not going to matter right now. Cadril getting caught out here, using the ultimate, trying to run for his life. Mystique's can look to buy a bit of time. Ulti comes out, 3-man, connects, Jessica. His ulti can try to block a little bit more damage, pulling back. Mickey in the midst of everything, he does manage to take down Mythy. That's a lot of damage coming in for the Corki. Patrick now caught out in no man's land, the flash forward. Gatling gunning him down, but cannot find him. Mystique's is going to take down Nuke Duck. Excel explode into this game.
And this is absolutely the right call from Excel. By using the teleport from the Xayah, they gained control of tempo. You know, they were full health, they had more resources to work with, and they just saw Cold use the Sejuani ultimate and trying to cover for Patrick and Mythy. Now, yes, the Ashe ultimate was there, but Excel immediately knew, okay, we can contest on Cold's blue buff. We know he doesn't have it. We know that he expended resources to cover his bot lane instead of doing his jungle. So excellent read from Excel.
And honestly, we talked about the top lane discrepancy. Look at the bot lane now, 93 to 64. Yes, it is just 4 assists, but Mickey is getting terrifying in that mid lane as we look back at this Pro View replay. Eyes on Mystique's huge ultimate from this Recon player.
Now, what I thought was really curious is the fact that it felt like Mystique's and Jessica weren't initially on the same page as Cadril. It's the fact that Olaf is just already running out of that team fight before Rakan and Xayah finally do turn. So still very messy. I like the call from Excel, but if Jessica and Mystiques had been there initially, it would have been that much easier. It didn't matter in the long run. You still got the double kill on Corki, you still picked up the dragon, and you still made OG hurt.
You absolutely did. You see Mystiques there. It's who you can check out, riot.com/broview. You saw him cheering. Pretty sure he said, "Let's go," at the top of his lungs, in the back of that play. And I can feel that. But once again, we see Excel with a pretty commanding early game. 1K lead. The issue is that this Mordekaiser is just not doing a lot. Good news is that with the lane swap now coming through, Xayah will get some solo plates where it's going to be a split game.
So this is really cool. Excel swapped their bot lane to the top side to give them numbers advantage over the Rift Herald. You can now see that Kadrill has taken this down. So again, great read on the map. They're just beating Origen around the map, which normally you don't say. Normally Origen are the smart team. I do want to point out the itemization and the CS difference, because that's one of the places that Origen still have a pretty big advantage over this Mordekaiser. But going for the Wit's End, again, to try to find that 1v1 power. But if they keep trying to hide Expect, moving this Mordekaiser, letting him farm out the mid lane, they're just trying to find free gold to get him away from this Vayne.
You have to respect the potential for the Death Realm to come through here. The Rift Herald is now being utilized. 12 minutes into the game, Excel are looking to continue to extend this gold lead. Arrow's going to go wide, will not connect under the Herald. Looks pretty though. Will go through, and now they're looking to break the tower. Will OG fish for an engagement? I like Nukeduck posturing forward, has the ult, can threaten. And in the meantime, Patrick is getting a tower on the bottom side. So this play actually favoring OG outside of the 2 tower plates that have already gone down. Patrick is going to immediately retreat. So OG, I think, matching at least for now.
I feel like the only way that that gets slightly better for Excel is that instead of having all of those players there to see, maybe can we fish for trying to break down this mid lane tower? We've got 4 people here, so if they back away from it, we all just rush it and push it over. Is if they instead kind of waved the white flag and said, we're just here for the gold, dropped the Herald, and then, you know, tried to funnel more specific resources onto a key player.
Did not though in the end. When you take a look at the gold charts, you can see Jessica and Mickey actually head and shoulders above the rest. Patrick and Alfari just behind. Surprising to see. Of course, expected a little bit more from the Klepto stacks on the side of Alfari. And things are only going to get more difficult here because while Nukeduck is working towards the first item here, Corki already has that Trinity Force. You've already got the Essence Reaver coming through as well as the Boots 2 for Jessica.
And that makes it really easy to, again, hide, expect, and pull him around to get easy resources because Corki can deal with this Vayne into the top lane.
Yeah, good news is Wit's End doubles up. You know, you have a lot of magic damage coming in from the Corki as well, but still a difficult duel for any champion at this point.
It's kind of the difference between how Corki is going to farm and push a wave and have mobility versus someone like a Mordekaiser. Yeah, the Wit's End will still do a lot to deny a lot of Corki's damage, as it would with Mordekaiser. But again, he's not up there because he wants to kill the Vayne. Obviously, if he gets the opportunity, he'll try to take it. But it's more so, I can be much farther forward than the Mordekaiser. I can continue to eat up gold and resources on this map, while Expect is now sitting in the mid lane, very safely in front of his tower, and then just being funneled in to try to get back into this game.
And normally a short lane is not ideal for a champion that wants to walk you down like Mordekaiser, but when you're behind like this, when you don't really have that much kill threat on Nukeduck at this point in the game, it's good to have the safety of your tower within, let's say, 20 feet.
It's spoon feeding. Here comes the airplane.
See what spoon feeding Expect amounts to. A lot of armor already, of course, for him. Kadrill now going to have to back off here. Good bit of damage comes through, but really yet to see OG try to find any kind of crazy plays in the early game. Excel have been dictating the pace, and Mickey is absolutely fearless, shredding that magic resistant MR. He's just going to walk away, though, with the Valk, and Nukeduck standing face-to-face with the Corki, but is not scared.
Kind of feels like everyone was trying to bluff each other since there wasn't perfect information about where Cold is. I'd have to go back and kind of review if that ward caught him, and that's why Mickey was being so aggressive, because, you know, that's one Sejuani from an Azir ultimate away from a bad time for poor little Mickey. But starting to flex his Corki power.
Feeling a little bit more confident.
Nicely done.
Ulti for ulti. However, there's one more ulti potentially coming into the bot lane, and that is Cold. So setup here. Patrick willing to trade ult for ult because you know Cold is coming.
Kadrill's on the way as well. They definitely smell what's happening in
Mickey
this
on the way down
bot lane.
too. Is he going to come through? Can they make it on safety? Cold is just going to back off to see 3 members committed. Mystique's threatening the engage. Cold can throw the ulti, but Kadrill can just body block and trade with his own ulti. So they are just going to back off. And important for us, I think, to look at, honestly, how good the early game has been from Expect. Once again, we saw the same thing from Fnatic, admittedly much more dominant than this early game, but Excel are starting to become a team where I think you have to respect what they bring to the table in the early game, and Nukeduck may not have respected it, is just barely going to make it out with his life, but will lose the mid lane tower.
Yeah, lost the call about where Rakan was going to be. He showed up into the mid lane. Excellent roam from Mystique's there. And like you said, that mid lane tower then falls down, and it all funnels back into the fact that Excel are consistently giving us really good early games in the LEC.
Something to keep an eye on. Can they transition it now is the big question. What can they do with this composition? You can see 10 plates to 7. Decent amount of gold difference. Does not make up the entire 2,500 between these two teams. OG, though, will get a Cloud Drake, though, so that's like a consolation prize.
It's, yeah, it's table scraps.
Death Realm. Tower's still there, but Alfari's just going to walk away. And that was the thing we were a little bit scared about.
Yeah, they tried to hide expect, but they're like, we really need to play around this tower priority. We think you can survive it. Just farm under your tower. He can't. Alfari has now shown you cannot farm safely underneath your tower. So again, they need to figure out how they're going to solve this Vayne problem and where they're going to start lining up Mordekaiser for his lane assignments.
And problem is the appropriate word, as more and more gold goes into the back pocket of Alfari. I assume building now towards the Blade of the Rune King, so only become a more terrifying duelist. And, you know, all that armor on the Seekers and the Ninja Tappy sure does look pretty, but it is not going to stop all these on-hit effects.
It's going to feel really bad.
But we'll see. Once again, Mordekaiser, as you said, it feels like a relative unknown for us in pro play. It's been disabled in a lot of other regions. So.
I mean, I've seen him crop up occasionally, and it's kind of like a super ridiculous champion where you're like, what is that? That seems so unfair. Whenever you play him in solo queue, it feels super oppressive, but I don't know. I haven't seen enough footage of two top-end teams running with a Mordekaiser to be like, yes, definitively, this guy is as high priority as I think he should be. But pro players are definitely valuing him, so something's happening in scrims.
And that right there is the ultimate feels bad, is that because of how low the Temple cooldown is, the second you miss that Death's Grasp, you just lose. Because you have no way to pull Vayne into melee range of you. You have no way to actually deal damage to the Vayne once you take away that pull. And honestly, AP Darius really struggling here on the top side of the map, like AD Darius would.
It's going to get really hard when she has access to Blade of the Rune King, because then her kiting potential just gets that much easier.
Once again, we'll see. The name of the game is Hide Expect. Right now he's in the jungle. We'll see where he's going to go next. For now, is going to be set up to go mid lane. Has a lot of support to make sure he can farm. Cable taking some of it away, though. But also we have to remember the utility and the value of the Death Realm. This is the thing that we were kind of talking about when we saw this kit spoiled, is that what if he's really underfed, but he just takes the most fed member of the team out of the fight? Like, that's still an incredible amount of value.
You trade your unfed Mordekaiser for the hyper-fed. It's like, I'm worth 5,000 gold, you're worth 13,000 gold.
Yeah, that's kind of the intangible, right? Like, removing, let's say at this point, Vayne, as the mega fed member from a team fight for 3 or 4 seconds is pretty significant.
What I also think is cool about their setup here is that it's actually fairly difficult for Origen to try to break a certain point on the map, because they have a Corki and it was Xayah who was playing bot lane across from Vayne. I say that his Cajal runs face first.
Unstoppable. Arrow still connects.
It's hard because of how much mobility is there and how much safety with a lot of these ultimates to get out of the hard CC that Origen have on their kit. So I, again, credit to Excel with their lane assignments. I like the fact that they're matching the Xayah across from the Vayne, and that if there was a cheeky Sejuani or an Ashe arrow that went for her, that she would just use the ultimate and disengage to safety. And it's stalling a lot for Mordekaiser to get back into the game, but on the other side, I mean, Origen probably aren't feeling too bad about that either. Nutrix like, it's fine, trade the CS. If the CC hits and we get a kill, that's great. If it doesn't, we've got a Vayne, we have an Azir, we have a utility ADC like Ashe. Like, we'll meet you guys at 30 minutes, no problem, guys.
Yeah, the late game scaling is terrifying for both sides, no doubt. We now see the Ashe that looks like building towards that Trinity Force we mentioned earlier. Will give her, I believe, 40% CDR, as well as the nice additional Sheen proc on the back of every volley. So a lot of poke between an Azir and an Ashe. It will not be fun standing under a tower.
My favorite Ashe build. I'm really happy that Patrick is pulling this out.
It's a good look overall. But so while he's building this, we have much more traditional AD carry items on the opposite side. Corki now with the rapid fire.
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
Oh, no, that's an invisible Vayne. He's going to try to dash his way out. Will he get knocked into the wall or the tower? Mickey trying to survive. Alfari now in trouble, though. The TP has been burned. They're trading it. Xayah will now be forced on the top side of the map.
Also is looking for the possible abyssal voyage from Patrick and Mickey, who are sitting in that top river, but trying to play two sides at once.
Ooh, I feel like we're on the cusp of a fight breaking out. Both teams clearly fishing for the opportunity, and Alfari getting stronger and stronger.
It was fishing, it was seeing what they caught, and because it was an Olaf, Patrick's like, you're not worth the arrow. This will not end well for me.
The arrow probably more valuable at this point than the Olaf ult. Not a trade you want to make. But it's hard because I understand the power of late game Azir. I understand the power of top lane Vayne. I don't know entirely how to feel about the damage output of this Ashe build. I understand the poke's insane, but the sustained damage sounds like it's hard to match the traditional 3 items. And Xayah and Corki on 3 items are 2 incredibly terrifying champions to play against.
And I think it makes up for the fact that the Mordekaiser hasn't had the best first 21 minutes of this game, because you do what?
Mickey, dash forward, dash out. Yeah, he's dead. All right, Mickey, that one's going to be a little bit questionable. Shut down for Origen. A good play on the top side, and honestly, just a bit unfortunate.
Well, that was a series of unfortunate events. That was a lemony snicket if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, that's what. Ooh, that's a good one. We're going to use that one next time.
It was just very bizarre.
And now Kadril, though, looking for the flank. Expect us here on the backside as well. Patrick is going to be locked up. This is why you do not pick the Ashe for the Mordekaiser. Here comes the R, locked in the Death Realm, running for his life, but actually is able to slow him. Actually is able to walk away. A lot of damage, huge chunk coming in. A few more autos. Is he going to be able to get him? Death Realm will fade away soon. It'll just be Nuke Duck and Expect, but no, the Ashe goes down in the Death Realm. The stats now belong to Expect, and Mystique's and Kadril looking for the chase. Kadril now in trouble, though. Nuke Duck is going to get knocked up. A lot of immediate damage. The ulti will find the kill. Mystique's coming back as Jeskla now free firing. Feathers fly, but will not connect in the end to find the snare, and OG will walk away. But a big fight.
And only by a sliver, because check out Mickey's teleport timer. It is just about to come off. If that was Origen just hanging around for a millisecond longer, that's a completely different fight, because Excel would have wiped the floor with them. That was very messy from both sides.
Ooh.
Even worse for Origen because Patrick's flash was forced. So this is a Mordekaiser who's down, I don't know, what is that, 60, 70 CS to his opponent top laner. And he's still able to just take the Ashe and completely remove her from the fight.
All right, we're watching this one more time. Remember, he's unstoppable in the package, so can just ult away.
I feel like he realized...
That's a misclick.
I don't know.
That has to be a miss, because you just
so there's 2 ways.
Package and you valve.
Either he just misclicked it, or he knew as soon as the tongue hit him that there was no way he was going to escape, and he's like, I have to do as much damage as possible. Maybe I can look for an outplay before I die. But this is the back half of this team fight, and it is a mess from everyone's decision. The fact that Origen's composition gets so split up that this is like 3 different fights happening. When you have an Azir, the team fights only work when Azir gets to be stationary and really just get his sand soldiers up. As soon as Azir is like running around a team fight trying to catch up with people, then everything falls apart.
Oh, and I mean, really, when you're OG there, that's a clincher. You're walking away, you are inches away from being CC'd and killed, wiped, and a Baron being started. But now Excel are going to start the Baron regardless. They're calling OG out. I think they're just asking for the arena to fight. They know that they have the advantage, 6K, and dropping Cold is going to take a miracle steal here. Are they going to move out of the pit? Mordekaiser can just ult him to stop him from contesting the Baron. If he just ults Cold, he cannot contest. They will back away. He does ult Cold. And the teams are going to retreat. Excel will grab the Baron uncontested. Now, Bard, meanwhile, split pushing on the bottom side. Expect will be the sacrificial Mord to make sure the team can make it out alive. What else can OG get before this Baron turns against them?
Just a moment of silence for Expect. He did his job. He knew exactly what had to happen, and he made sure that it did. And he turned, he opened up his arms. He's like, take me. I have done everything I came to do.
That was a Gandalf moment. That was a you shall not pass moment. I don't know if he actually needed to do that, though, because Cold was like a mile away from the pit.
I feel like he probably did, but... Take another look at this one. Again, this is every single time. It feels like 3 different kind of macro or map plays. Excel have been ahead of the ball than Origen have. And again, we don't expect this. Origen are supposed to be the smart macro-based team, but Excel are just playing really well around this map.
And Expect could have kept walking.
It's fine.
Not sure why he didn't. And now we get to play farming Mord, Hidden Vayne. And I think it's going to be a very, very tough moment here for, oh no, Expect.
Wait, look at Mystique's.
Here we go. Auto, auto, auto. Oop, goes golden. Tries to buy time. What else can he do?
Here comes Corki.
Not going to matter too much. Don't think he's going to use it. It's just going to die.
Arrow.
Arrow. That was cheeky and unnecessary, Patrick. But here comes Mystique's on the side looking for the tank. There's no Tahm Kench in sight. They're going for the follow-up CC. Tahm Kench trying to come in, but Patrick, can he get him out? No! The Ignite ticking and taking him down. Excel now looking to break the tier 2 tower. May look for even a little bit more. Kadril stepping forward. Will get stunned up. Will get locked up. But the tower will not find a kill in this exchange. Excel barreling down the mid lane on the poise of finding their first win up against Origen.
That's another massive mistake from Origen, and this time at the helm of Patrick. Mystique was standing on that control ward for about 30 seconds. He was looking for the flank the entire time. There's no reason Patrick should be that far forward. As soon as the Ashe dies, you lose all of your wave clear, because then it's just Sejuani and Kench. His death there might cost them the game, because if she's standing there, she stalls out, you can survive the Baron, you get another opportunity. That is frankly unacceptable.
Cannot afford to make those mistakes. And remember, this is 06 Excel. And so many people, myself included, were ready to call the Fnatic early game like kind of just a one-of, right? Just, hey, they got surprised, they got caught off guard, but them doing it again here in this match versus OG, yet another team contesting for the top, currently 4th place, is truly impressive.
And this might be a symptom of Excel kind of finally finding their stride, getting settled into their gaming house, bringing Mickey, getting enough scrim time with him. It could be that this was the reset and all that they needed was time to make this roster actually work, because we are starting to see consistent good things from this squad.
And remember, the only OG losses are Fnatic, G2, and Splice. They've only really played, or they've only really lost to the top teams in the league, and now they might just be Excel's first win. Siege setup is there. Patrick is here as well as the Azir. There's a lot of wave clear, but the Baron minions are something you have to keep your eye on. Death Realm always available. The Ashe Arrow will be committed. Will not stop anything. Brief pause. Cager will walk away. A lot of poke, but the feathers are pulled back. Good bit of poke damage back in exchange. Alphari keeping the mid lane pushed out. So Excel cannot have that additional point of pressure.
Very difficult to attempt to siege in that type of setup. Yeah, the poke was going back and forth, but as soon as Nuke Duck is grouped back up, it feels like Origen have kind of stopped the bleeding. We'll try to survive or stall out the rest of this Baron, and we'll get another chance at this game as we take another look back at this engage. And again, Mystique's been sitting on that control ward for a very long time, doing his best Hilly impression right there. Finds a very important, very impactful flash, flash engage. Flank engage, wow.
Flank engage, that works. And additionally, I like the confidence from Mystiques. You're talking about a Hilly impression, and once again, the XL bot lane was kind of a puzzle that I think they themselves have been trying to figure out. Do we play Harn and Kasing? Do we play Jessica and Mystiques? What is the right choice? And Zyra Khan looking incredible for this duo, and after what was a very, honestly, unfortunate start to this lane phase where they did go down at level 2, Mystiques specifically, he is more than making up for it in this mid to late game.
And really showcasing, that when Jessica and Mystiques do take the field, that there is a pretty specific duo that's practice. If this is something like pulling out a Lux or the Zyra Rakan, they just have a very different vibe and very different feel than Hjarnan and Kasing.
Yeah. And now we see both the mid lane and bot lane, respectively, two of the gold leaders in this game. 3 items, however, on Alphari. Of course, Vayne, not necessarily a champion you think of as an incredibly strong team fighter, though. One piece of CC and she can find herself knocked out of the fight, and also she still has to respect the Death Realm.
But it gets easier that Alphari actually gets to be a member of this game now, because since the Baron has fallen off from Excel, it means that less resources need to be used to clear out the Baron minions, which means that Alphari now has more time where he can overextend in these lanes and try to either absorb resources where multiple members of Excel go to try to stop him, or look for those 1v1 scenarios where he can try to outduel someone. So now that the Baron has fallen off, Alphari now becomes another factor in this game.
True, and I think the luxury of being Alphari is that you are not the person on your team with wave clear, so you do get to be the person to absorb all these resources to go into a side lane. Now, the burden, however, is that you are all of this team's gold. Mickey still gets locked up, though. That's going to be big. Slow connects. Mickey potentially in trouble. Just a good bit of damage, however. Not going to get much else. Mickey will not flash either. So overall, actually, just better for Excel since they can't find the kill, unless they can do something in the period of time where Mickey is off the map. Of course, his TP will be up shortly, and Expect has double stopwatch. Death Realm comes out, tries to buy a bit more time, goes golden, can go golden again. Mickey on the way in, tries to get a bit more damage. That's the double stopwatch. Alphari now in trouble with so much damage on the Corki there. Oh, big autos, burning, ticking, that's it. Red buff, the shutdown onto the Vayne. Huge disaster for the side of OG.
And the rest of Excel was able to disengage from any sort of advance that Origen was trying to catch them out with. So again, how many resources were Excel going to expend? They got the 2 there. They had to burn a lot of time with the Mordekaiser, but were able to get the flash off of Alphari, and it's so important on the likes of the Vayne.
Absolutely, and double stopwatch paying off. Seems like Alphari was not ready for that, was not ready for the Corki as well, despite his team sending the Corki back. He knew generally where Mickey was expected to be. Feels like an overstep. Once again, the burden. He really could not afford to be the person to die in this case. Take a look at that timer. OG has to be ready and willing to fight a 4v5. Death Realm
Mystiques.
not available.
Look at
Colt
him.
could find his hero moment. Back on the flank. Does manage to find it. Big engage coming in, but Kadral already almost dead. Nuke Duck going to try to look to pick someone off. Jessica now in trouble. Has to respect the engage potential. Nuke Duck, will he get dueled out here? XL now looking to collapse, but Mickey caught over the wall. Finally, the Valkyrie cooldown is up and available. Expect now pulling back. The arrow connects. This time, may see something else. The moving forward for Mystiques. Mickey now pulling back. Retreating to the Baron Pit. Needs to make it out of this one. You cannot get away from this Ashe. Vayne coming on the backside as well. Disaster now starting to strike. OG take momentum.
And just a slight overstep. The fact that Mickey had to burn his flash right there meant that as soon as he was picked out, that there wasn't going to be any follow-up for him. So the Corki goes down, the teleport comes out from Nuke Duck, and suddenly now Origen on the offensive after they've been playing defensively for the last 5 minutes.
And Kadral is alive. No ulti available. Mystiques on the back end of the pit. Expect will shortly be able to get the jungler out of the equation. Alfari will not let it happen. Chasing down Expect right now. There is no hope for the Mordekaiser to get out of this one. All too easy in the 1v1. Expect taken down. Now a true 50-50 if they want to try to take the smite, but they will not get the chance. Kadral will have to walk away, and OG will grab the Baron.
It felt like Excel just gave them just the tip of their finger, and Origen took the whole damn arm. It was a single mistake where they have now just ripped the game back from Excel. Origen now back in control. This is a composition that scales wonderfully with the likes of the Vayne and the Azir. We see repeatedly that Mordekaiser cannot deal with this Vayne, and now when she has a Baron buff behind her, this was the win condition that Origen was looking for to seal the deal.
The knockup is there, but this time around, Mithy is ready. And Nuke Duck off to the side, stopping 2 members from entering this fight is the deciding factor, it feels like. Here we also see the turn from Patrick, the single kill that changes the pace of this game.
And just not expecting the Ashe arrow to come out. And again, Mickey doesn't have access to his flash because he burned it bottom to try to kill Alfari. So just not quite respecting how far forward he could be in that fight. And speaking of not respecting, he's surrounded by 3 sides.
Waddle away, little Corgi. Yeah, nothing you can do. Mickey, all but dead. Might be able to get some good damage down. The cleanse comes out, but will not be enough. QSS cannot save the day, and Excel instead are barreling down the mid lane, looking to break the open inhibitor. 4-second back timers from the Baron. OG are staying on the top side of the map. It is Nuke Duck versus 2 members of Excel. The rest of Excel backing off. This is a bit too aggressive for their taste. They will just retreat.
It was going to be a drag race, and we were going to find out who was going to be faster. I'm going to say it's the team with the Baron there, especially because it was Nuke Duck on the Azir that was sent back. I like the bold call, though.
As do I. Jessica has some decent wave clear here. Patrick fishing for that poke will absorb the Guardian proc. You kind of have to respect the moment. Cold can throw the ulti anytime. Of course, on cooldown this time around. Kadral now in trouble, though. Oh, he's just going to get walked down. The slow is there, but it is not enough. Olaf has fallen off, and it is Azir's time to shine.
I was looking at the top side, so I'm actually really curious how Nuke Duck saw Kadral. Maybe he was clearing a ward. I'd love to see what happened in the replay there.
Take a look at it one more time when we get the chance. If we get the chance, might have some more action here as Jessica, the lone wave clear bot in the mid lane. Expect here as well, and sadly now that Excel are falling behind, the Mordekaiser's a lot more of a liability than he was in the past exchanges. Will miss on the Death's Grasp, and now Patrick is going to be able to break this tower, stepping forward, one more auto will do it. Siege Minion going to grab it in the end. Potentially 2 inhibitors could get exposed here if they want to push through mid as well. 1 minute and 10 seconds left on Origen's Baron buff.
It's also the issue that who does Expect actually target? No matter who he grabs, there's always another damage threat on Origen's composition.
Absolutely. Do you just limit maybe the Tahm Kench out of the fight? Stop devouring anybody.
He'd say cold. You're like, he hasn't ulted yet, I got him.
You get like half a second if you're cold. You just instantly throw the ult. Accept your fate.
Okay, how did he see him? Okay.
Ooh,
So
wait.
runs through that one. He's going to move because he's caught in the side.
But
Disaster.
wait, you swept?
Maybe it was where it was placed in the bush.
All right. We might need to see that from
Kadral's
vision.
perspective.
Because, you know, sometimes there's those corn. Oh, no, okay. So he does make it away. Just, he looks like guessing the brush.
That was 2 Scryer orbs that just destroyed him.
The power of wards, dear friends. Power of tickets to our summer finals in Athens, 7th to 8th of September. Riot.com/Athens. See more crazy back and forth games like this live in person. And that's the opportunity we're offering. Anyway, XL, OG. I was really convinced like 8 minutes ago that this was the first XL win.
There's still hope.
And now I'm getting flashbacks, Frostkern. It's like the Fnatic game all over again. 1 or 2 slip-ups and they're just instantly out of control.
Unfortunately, this is, you know, the gap between our top teams and our bottom teams. That for how phenomenally Excel have played this early to mid game, it just takes one slip up before our teams like G2, Fnatic, Origen, Splice just run it back at you.
He just couldn't see it. There's no way. He couldn't see it. Oh. Yeah, sorry to relive that one, folks. Just had to double check on the vision there, and it was indeed stacked against him. And if you are an Origen fan, of course, good news is their mid inhibitor are not under threat. They are in absolute control of this game. The 3K gold lead, ultimately not that consequential. The more important thing is the 4-item Azir, the 3.5-item Ashe, as well as the 4.5-item top lane Vayne. Excel, of course, a very, very strong Xayah on their side. Jessica is a monster you have to keep your eyes on. But sadly for Kadril, he's at the point where he is not really relevant in these team fights anymore. Can still be kind of a threat if he gets his right on top of the Ashe. But other than that, really not a scary Olaf.
I mean, it doesn't really matter if he gets on top of Patrick and deletes him. Yeah, it's a cool Ashe build. He's going to be doing a lot with his volley, but you still have to deal with Alphari then, who's a 4-item Vayne, and then you still have to deal with Nuke Duck, who is a 4-1 and 0 Azir.
Yeah.
There's not enough good targets on Origen. They've got too many damage threats that if Kadril and Expect play it perfectly, you're still looking at a miracle here.
Yeah, we'll really hope for the, if you're an Excel fan, hope for the clean cuts to hit multiple members, try to tear through the team with AoE damage.
I feel like it's more about Mystique's and Mickey's performance and what they do.
Well, so far, Mickey's had an up and down game. 3-3, not the scoreline he wanted. Some really excellent plays and some less than ideal moments. OG now just kind of take sole control of these respective lanes. You can see about a minute now until Baron will respawn. So 37 minutes, 40 seconds. That objective will be up and available, and you know that OG already have total control over the top side of the map. Very difficult for Excel to contest this one.
They're also able to burn down the Baron very quickly because of how strong the Azir is at this point in the game. So if they're left alone with it, I don't know if Alphari will participate.
That's true. He likes the solo lane.
He likes to just murder people on his own.
Sadly, I don't know if Mickey can actually take that fight. The stealth from the Vayne is just so oppressive in 1v1s, especially as two auto-attacking champions.
Excel are doing a good job, though, defensively clearing out their own jungle. They're staying together as a unit, making sure that no one's going to get picked off by the likes of a Sejuani or an Ashe ultimate. Unfortunately, they did not get high enough in their vision to catch them going over the wall.
This is what you talked about when it came to the Azir, with the potential just to cut down this Baron with the Warlock as well. Cold is going to heal up right away. Nuke Duck now backing off. We have to assume to buy either a bit more vision and control wards or another item. It is just going to be a blasting one. Frostgren. We went from Excel can do it to can they hold on? Because you look at the CS lead, I mean, that's the flame horizon for young Jeskla. 105, 421 CS to Patrick's 312. But it is no longer about the 80 carries. It's about Jeskla for certain, but it's mostly about Nuke Duck on the opposite side. It's been a long time since I've seen an Azir get this late game in his build.
I mean, the nice thing is that Excel still have plenty of wave clear kind of stacked on between Xayah and Corki. So possibly by their powers combined, they're able to survive this. The scary news is, like you said, there's still multiple Fed members, and Origen don't have to 5-stack into a lane. They can decide to split up the map and just kind of drag Excel around. So Mystique's is definitely the guy to make the hero play. You can see that he's hunting for it right now. He's just trying to find a good area to get into a flank.
Kadril got out the ultimate force. Mystique's will not find that flank quite yet. Vayne continuing to push in on the bottom side, but Mordekaiser really has to respect the dive potential. Is getting stronger with more items to the belt, but still is going to have a hard time locking the Vayne down. If a single Death Grasp connects, however, there's a lot of burst damage in Mordekaiser's kit. Can be the difference maker. This is the theoretical way that I see this team fight working for Excel, and it involves Expect ulting Nuke Duck and then running away from the Sand Soldiers as fast as you can.
I think Mystique's needs to take his moment right about now.
He's going to try to fish for the engage, looking for it. He's looking to find Cold. Lockup is there. A lot of immediate damage going down on the Cold. How much can they get here? They take him down, but meanwhile on the bottom side, the Vayne is starting to pressure in. Nuke Duck is going to start to push in on the top side. Inhibitor will start to move down to the fight. Jessica flashing forward is a big, aggressive move. Mystiques will give his life for it. Jessica now locked up. Will get the ulti out, but it's going to be too little too late. Take him down in an instant. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, Alphari pushing through, trying to get a bit of damage. Locked out of the fight now, but the Tahm is here as well. It's going to be 3 quick inhibitors picked up by OG. They don't even want the 3rd inhibitor. They want to end the game. They found their team fight win. Mystiques had to take the moment, but it will not work out in the end. Mickey getting burned down. OG are simply too strong. They will move up to 4-3, and a good early game for Excel is simply not enough to find a win over this OG lineup.
Excel tried to sprint away with the game. They had their high moments. It looks like maybe they had put it together, that they were able to transfer into the mid game, but Origen knew that as soon as they got to a certain point, the itemization on the Vayne, the itemization on the Azir, that they were just going to roll them over. A lot of gold particularly got funneled into Nuke Duck. I think he was 4-1 on the Azir until those last 2 kills, so I think ending with a 6-1 scoreline. And as soon as it was that point, they just destroyed them.
Confirming the 8-1 Nuke Duck scoreline, a fantastic performance from him. Highest gold, it looks like, in the game overall. Just barely beating out young Jeskla. And I'm going to say that was not the game that either of these teams were hoping for. Excel so close to finding a win, and OG so close to losing against a team that they were very much expected to beat.
I think it's easy to say, yes, there were a couple of mistakes from both squads, but it felt like, you know, things like Patrick being too far forward and getting caught out by the flank from Rakan are fairly easy fixes. I don't necessarily think you should be super disappointed with this game. I actually just prefer the fact that both teams especially played well in the early game. I was very impressed with Excel. I thought they made some really smart maneuvers. I thought Cold's maneuvers were very smart. He sacrificed a lot of his jungle time to protect and cover his lanes. Good work, guys.
It was, overall, maybe not the win that OG wanted, but ultimately, as you said, small mistakes costing them a bit here and there, and now moving up to 4-3. And later tonight, of course, Cold and Gyoto are going to be joining us in the LEC post-game lobby. They're going to be talking about the current state of Origen, as well as, I imagine, some tidbits about this game and what exactly happened. So looking forward to their insight later this evening.
Always very eloquent. Love hearing from the Origen guys.
Yeah, me too. I'm curious to see what Cold has to say, because this has definitely been... thank you, Frosco. This has been an interesting split thus far for OG, and I'm really not sure to where to place them.
Why are you guys so down on Origen?
I just don't know. But this is the thing. One thing I do know is that OG smashed this fight.
Yeah, this fight looks like it might be okay for like a split second for Excel, and then Nuke Duck takes the top inhib. He's like, okay guys, I can join, and then he immediately turns, looks at them, and all of Excel blow up. Look at that damage done to Mystiques.
Oh, I just did not get the opportunity to push his ultimate there. The chain CC, beautiful thing to watch. And Mordekaiser looked really good the one time that he ulted Cold and stopped him from taking a Baron. The rest of the game, it has just been a liability for this Excel lineup.
I also think what was interesting is that the Silas jungle didn't come up as soon as they saw the Sejuani, and if that's Origen just having a read that Kadril wasn't going to play it, or if they had some sort of answer, I think that was quite interesting. And again, it feels like there are learnings from Excel's draft phase that maybe other LEC teams can exploit.
Definitely. And you see, of course, the story of this game, hope for Excel looking quite confidently in control, and then it all fell off a cliff. A orange OG cliff. And as the OG players retreat off the stage, it's time to vote for your Kia player of the game. At LOL Esports on Twitter is the place. Alfari, Cold, and Nuke Duck are your options.
I'm going to go Nuke Duck.
Yeah, because he was given what is generally considered a pretty like close, even-ish matchup, and then popped off in team fights in a big way. Single-handedly isolated Jeskla and Kadril, if you remember back to that crucial Baron fight, whereas Cold sacrificed resources and Alfari was given a winning lane and won his winning lane. That's my quick analysis. But we've got a huge match to close out the day as Vitality and Fnatic take to the stage. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back.